On a cold Thursday morning, when the sky looked as tired as the people walking under it, a young waitress named Emily stood behind the counter of a small downtown diner, fighting back tears she'd been holding in for 3 days straight. Her rent was overdue, her mother's medical bill notice lay folded inside her apron pocket, and she had exactly $10 left, money she had planned to use just to get through the night. But fate has a strange way of rearranging lives at the moment we feel closest to breaking. And that morning, everything changed the moment a stranger in a torn, wet suit stumbled through the door, clutching his stomach as if the world had struck him harder than he could bear. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the small miracles that begin with one good deed, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world what humanity truly means. Emily noticed him instantly. He didn't move like the usual customers in expensive suits. His steps were unsteady, his eyes hollow, his wallet missing. He whispered that someone had stolen his bag earlier that morning, leaving him with nothing, not even cash to pay for the coffee he desperately needed. Despite everything going wrong in her own life, Emily didn't hesitate. She reached into her pocket and placed her very last $10 on the counter, telling the cook she'd cover his meal. She made him a hot cup of coffee, added cream and 2 sugars, and placed it gently beside him as he sat alone, staring at the table as though battling something far heavier than hunger. She didn't know who he was. She only knew that he looked like a man who had run out of strength. What Emily didn't notice was that this man, James Whitford, was not just any customer. He was the CEO of a major investment company, a man whose decisions shaped the futures of entire corporations, yet who had walked into that diner that morning as lost and vulnerable as anyone could be. James had spent the entire night sleepless, grappling with the possibility of his company failing after a trusted partner betrayed him. He felt defeated, stripped of purpose, and for the first time in years, alone. And then Emily's kindness, simple, quiet, unconditional, landed like a lifeline he didn't know he needed. He didn't reveal who he was. He didn't even thank her properly, he was too overwhelmed. He just sat for a long time, drinking the warm coffee she'd given him, trying to steady the pieces of his broken morning. Emily smiled at him whenever she passed by, unaware that her kindness was already changing everything. The next day, Emily walked back to work with a heavy heart. She had talked to her landlord the night before and begged for just one more week, but the answer had been a cold, tired no. She kept imagining her mother at home, wrapped in a thin blanket, pretending she wasn't in pain so that Emily wouldn't worry. She stepped into the diner expecting another quiet morning of refilled coffees and tired smiles. But when she entered, she froze. The diner wasn't empty. It was full, packed from wall to wall with well-dressed men and women, nearly 50 of them, all wearing business suits, all standing silently in a line facing the counter as though waiting for her. Her co-workers stared too, speechless. Emily looked around in confusion, clutching the coffee pot, her breath trembling. Then one man stepped forward, the same man from yesterday, but polished now, confident, towering with presence and clarity. His suit was neat, his expression sure, but his eyes were warm with gratitude. He introduced himself as James Whitford, CEO of Whitford Investments. Emily's knees almost buckled. She had helped a CEO with her last $10 without knowing anything about him. James explained to her and the crowd of customers, who were actually 50 of his business partners, directors, and fellow millionaires, that her kindness had not only helped him when he needed it, but had given him the clarity to fight for his company again. Her act reminded him that the world still had goodness in it, and he wanted to honor it. Then he handed her an envelope. She opened it with shaking hands, and burst into tears. Inside was a check large enough to pay her mother's full medical bill, her rent for the entire year, and more money than she had ever held in her life. But James wasn't finished. One by one, the 50 millionaires in the diner stepped forward, placing envelopes, cards, and letters on the counter. Some had written notes of encouragement. Some gave job offers. Some donated to her mother's treatment. Some offered scholarships for her younger brother. They all said one thing in common: your kindness started this. The diner fell silent as Emily covered her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks, overwhelmed by the sudden avalanche of blessings. For years she had been the quiet girl washing dishes, pouring coffee, and hiding her struggles behind tired smiles. And in one morning, because she had chosen kindness when she had almost nothing left, the world returned that kindness 100 times over. James then announced something that changed her future. He offered her a full-time position at his company, with training, benefits, and a path to finally build the life she had dreamed of. Emily cried freely as her co-workers hugged her. For the first time in forever, she felt the world open up instead of closing in. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes. Your support helps us bring real, emotional stories to the world. Before the ending, please comment below: do you believe one act of kindness can change a life? Emily accepted everything with trembling gratitude, realizing something she would never forget for the rest of her life: you never know how far a single act of kindness can ripple. She had given away her last $10, and received a future overflowing with hope.